Hello everybody, welcome back to Clearblock Productions, and welcome to the second installment of the Gregsville collection. Today we'll embark on the first part of our tour from the Roseburg area and the operations inside of CSX's Rose Yard hub, the Rose Yard intermodal ramp, and some yard moves, before heading south to a crew stop at Cackinie. Let's get started. So the day is August 2nd. We leave home headed for Roseburg, where we'll get a hotel for the night. Bright and early, we head down to the far north lead for Rose Yard, and immediately the scanner lights up with M570-2, traffic to be sorted at Roseburg's classification yard. Like I said in the last installment, the Gregsville sub is undergoing heavy revamping. This end of the yard has yet to get there. The switch is still a manual throw switch, meaning the engineer has to bring his 10+ thousand feet of train to a full stop, no momentum, no movement, complete stop. The conductor has to climb down, throw the switch, and then the heavy train can get its momentum back and sneak its way into the yard. Today, and like most days to be honest, CSX M570 is all GEVOs, ES44AHs to be exact. Some people don't like GEVOs, but me personally, a train's a train. Anything, literally anything. Hopper cars, box cars, gondolas, tank cars, auto racks, etc., etc. Anything you can think of, these trains probably haul. The speed limit in the yard is 15. Unless it's on one of the runaround tracks that go around the yard, you'll never see a move exceed that speed. CSX is pretty strict about its speed limits, but I mean, that goes for pretty much any Class 1 railroad in the United States. It's not like driving a car. This particular crossing is a private driveway crossing. I hope this homeowner doesn't have anything important to get to, because this train blocked the crossing for just under 10 minutes. The train snakes its way into the yard. This very consist will later be pushed over the hump into the classification yard here in Roseburg, to be sorted into new trains to depart across the system. Built by the C&O in 1949, the yard was and still is a vital heart of the system, receiving roughly 45 trains a day and producing just over 46. This yard pumps out trains just about every 30 minutes. We set up on Hardin's Cliff, overlooking the crossovers between C Yard and D Yard. This spot is known as the Bull because of all the traffic moving through the switches. One of the main reasons this yard is so popular is because of the power that is based here and the power that comes through on a daily basis. This engine leading this yard move is one of extremely few remaining B40-8s on the CSX roster. This is one, and the two other remaining are in storage. This locomotive was revised and painted into the YN3B scheme just a couple years ago. It's the equivalent of a CSX GP40-2, but with a GE motor. The track closest is one of 4 runaround tracks here in Rose Yard. Taking this runaround track is R10. A few minutes after we left that private crossing a while back, an empty intermodal train pulled into the yard. This is the yard move to get those empty cars to the Roseburg intermodal ramp on the far south end. Passing on the other runaround tracks on the other side of the bowl is CSX M570 from earlier. Today the yard was so packed that they literally had to run this manifest train around the whole yard and back him into departure. Things get busy here at Rose Yard, and they stay busy. The next day, August 3rd, we go to the Highway 110 overpass, in perfect timing. 2 cuts of fully loaded intermodal trailers and double stack cars await their crew, while a CSX R11 passes on the runaround track, R standing for ramp. A few minutes go by. The crew for the intermodal train has boarded their train and are awaiting radio silence for the job briefing, while a loaded C-45 runs right underneath us. C-45 is a loaded coal train bound for the Roseburg power plant. It's one of many daily coal trains here on the Gregsville. The train that we'll be chasing for this part of our journey is CSX I-001. It is the hottest train for CSX on the Gregsville, and they treat it as such. Filled to the brim with UPS, Amazon, Snyder, etc., etc. This train is number 1 in this division. It will leave Rose Yard roughly 7:10 a.m. and will run non-stop all the way to Gregsville before needing a crew change. Then it will continue south. We hear on the scanner as the conductor for I-001 gives the yardmaster and dispatch his job briefing.
Ready for that job briefing, over?
Copy. Go ahead, over.
Copy. Clock in 0700 hours. Train symbol I-001-3. Southbound, lead locomotive CSX I-001, second engine 3011, both got 3,500 gallons. 2 DVs in the middle, both good on fuel, 2,724 feet, 10,344 tons. Not a key train, PTC operable, no restrictions. We're going to double out here on the south end of track. Will request permission to head out onto the main southbound onto the Gregsville sub. Over.
Copy. I-001. Clear to proceed southbound onto the Gregsville. Over.
Right, here we go. Over.
The plan for CSX I-001 is to double out of the yard. Doubling out is the practice of pulling long cuts of cars out of yard tracks. A very experienced engineer is at the helm today and has no problem pulling the slack out of his train. CSX I-001 will have number 1 priority over the line for his whole trip across the Gregsville sub, and doesn't stop, not even once, in the section we followed him. The engineer brings his train to a stop, and then slowly backs down onto the other cut of wells. We skip down the line about 2 miles outside of the yard. This signal is known on the timetables as southbound Haywick. It's a clear board for the red hot 001. Not going too fast yet though, as he's still getting 10,000 feet of train rolling. The CSX CM 4400 CW number 7201 rounds the curve with engines screaming. two mid-train DPUs the conductor was referring to earlier are these two ES4400 AH locomotives, just as heavy on the throttle as the leaders. We head farther south, chasing the red-hot behemoth. We set up on the south bank of the Blackwater River to catch I-001 exiting the Through Truss Bridge. Just north of Branklin, the main street that goes through downtown cuts under the Gregsville subdivision under this underpass and makes for a gorgeous bridge shot. Given that through Branklin it's a main street with lots of traffic, it was hard to pace him, but after a while it cleared up and we got to pace him here. Albeit not for very long, but we still did. The train on the right is CSX I-001-3, a bi-daily local job across the Gregsville sub, with a little bit of leaser power on the point. Sitting in the hole, waiting for the higher priority 001, it gets passed up by the screaming Jevos.
Morning, Donnie. See you got the little red GPU with me, you know?
3887 waits in the shadows here at Clarence Junction, a spot y'all probably know from my last video. The mid-train DPUs pass the signal here at Clarence, and they aren't letting off the gas. I'll admit this shot was a little risky, but it worked out. CSX 001 fully passes 606 and continues south, hot on the throttle. We leapfrog him to the Highway 114 overpass, and another train pops into question. CSX M543, daily mixed and empty goods for Rose Yard. And just as he passes, the red-hot I-001 passes on track 1, directly beneath us. We pushed the car to its limits, trying to get ahead for our last shot of 001. We set up at the Interstate 11 overpass, and we made it just by the skin of our teeth, as the second I got the tripod down, he rounded the corner. Still wasn't slowing for anybody. There is still a lot of the Gregsville collection to come. I mean, hell, we haven't even made it to the grades yet. Let me know what kind of train y'all want me to chase south, and I'll see if I can't track it down for you guys. The last few sets of wheels glide across the welded rail, as the end of the train gets closer and closer. If you guys want to continue our tour of the Gregsville sub with me, then stay tuned for next week, Saturday, 1 p.m. Central Time, and we'll continue farther south as we slowly work our way towards Gregsville Yard. That's all the time I got for today, guys. I love y'all, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.